All right. Home court stolen twice last night in the NBA playoffs after 12 straight games, because we got to count the Minnesota Timberwolves throttling of the Phoenix Suns. 12 straight home teams winning in the NBA playoffs. We had our first home court stolen.
Dun, dun, dun,
The
dun.
Indiana Pacers, led by Pascal Siakam.
We were both right.
Yeah, we both were right yesterday.
Yeah.
We talked about which one. They hold off the Milwaukee Bucks. Well, not just hold off.
They couldn't stop scoring.
Drop the hammer on the
30
Milwaukee
or
Bucks.
more in every quarter.
And they steal home court. The Dallas Mavericks, they steal home court from the Los Angeles Clippers in a nail-biter, coming down to the end there. But they get home court their way. And now we have two teams where we have officially two series that have started in the NBA playoffs. Because as they say, it's not a series till somebody wins on the road.
Yeah, well, when you shoot 55+% from the field, you're going to win a lot of games. That's what the Pacers did. They shot 55.6, 44.4 from three. And that was with Tyrese Halliburton having 12 points.
Yeah. Pascal Siakam has been an absolute monster for the Indiana
16
Pacers.
of 23 is a hell of a night.
He now has the second most points in 2 playoff appearances with the new franchise in NBA history. Remember, this isn't his first playoff series, but going from Toronto to Indiana, in his first 2 playoff games for Indiana, he scored 73 points, which is only second to Shaquille O'Neal in his 76 points with the Lakers. Yeah. He also has back-to-back 30-point games in their first 2 playoff games with the new franchise. That list is wildly short. He only becomes the 6th player, joining Shaquille O'Neal
and Damian Lillard,
Tracy McGrady, Moses Malone, Chauncey Billups, and Damian Lillard, who did it last night.
Same game.
That is where you see, we talked about this yesterday. Dame didn't score in the second half against in game 1 after 34 in the first half. Last night, he goes off in the first half yet again and did score in the second half, was very limited in the second half. Yeah. And they got it. He cannot go scoreless in a fourth quarter.
No.
With Giannis out, he cannot go scoreless. And that was my big concern is, can you do this? Because we know Dame's going to get his. Somebody else has got to step up, and it was Chris Middleton in game 1. Last night, they had an inability to keep up scoring with the Indiana Pacers.
Yeah, that was the thing, is it wasn't that the Bucks weren't scoring. 108. I mean, the Bucks 108 on 44, 41, 91 splits. That's going to win you a lot of playoff games offensively. Defensively, though, they just could not stop the Pacers. And Pascal Siakam going 16 of 23, getting whatever he wanted. It wasn't a game where the Pacers chucked up 53s. Number one, they hit threes. 16 of 36. You make 15 plus threes in a game and you're shooting 40 plus %, that's going to win a lot of games. And that was the thing, is that they got out, they got early opportunities, they got into their offense quicker, they played more confident, they played less dumb. In game 1, there were plenty of opportunities that they missed. I mean, they were 5 of 21 on threes in the first half. In game 1, if I remember right, it was an egregiously bad percentage. It was like, oh God, they can't hit anything. And it wasn't like they were chucking shots up at the end of the shot clock. They were a little skittish, but they were just missing shots. But you look at this, and they looked more like the Pacers that we were more accustomed to seeing, which this is an insane number. Okay, they made 50 shots. They shot 50 of 90 from the field. Of those 50 shots, 38 were assisted. Okay. The Bucks made 38 shots. They assisted on as many makes as the Bucks had. It gives you an idea, okay? So the difference between the two teams, it wasn't like this massive possession difference. The Bucks got 86 shots up. The Pacers got 90. The free throw disparity was 7. 19 of 21 for the Bucks, 9 of 14 for the Pacers. The three-point disparity was 36 to 32, so 4. So, you look at all of that stuff, neither team turned the ball over. The Bucks only had 7. The Pacers had 5. It was just the Pacers were flamethrowers.
Well, and I mean, look, we can go into all the numbers, all the stats. it doesn't mean anything because Pascal Siakam does not go for 35 and 37 in back-to-back games if Giannis Antetokounmpo is on the floor.
Nope.
He is not, and that is truly what this series is going to come down to, is when can you get Giannis back?
I don't think he's going to play the series.
And that is probably the death of the Milwaukee Bucks.
Could be.
In the first round here.
In back-to-back seasons, Giannis being injured could be their doom.
Because this is where Milwaukee is so good in that front court, is when you have Brook Lopez and Giannis Antetokounmpo starting the game, and Bobby Portis is that change of pace coming off the bench.
Mm-hmm.
And him in the starting lineup having to play, pull the Omen's work on.
And playing more of a 4 role as opposed to a 5, which, 5 years ago,
sure,
you can play him more at the 4. Now he's more of a small ball 5.
And going up against Pascal Siakam the last 2 nights, you have seen he's getting his. And when shots start falling, as you outlined there, from everybody else, I mean, the crazy part is they're doing this without Halliburton. Halliburton is playing within himself and playing a great role right now. He had 12 gives last night.
Yeah, 12 points, 12 assists, only 2 turnovers. For a guy who's on the ball that much, that's the thing, is he gets them into their stuff, and he Steve Nashes it, where everybody once wanted the 7 seconds or less Suns for Steve Nash to shoot more because he's essentially a 50, 40, 90 shooter in his entire career. It's about getting them into their stuff at the right time, getting guys the ball in the pocket at the right spot. And it's not just the assists, it's the hockey assists. It's getting guys, seeing that Pascal Siakam is up court and just giving him the ball early and letting him get to his spots because he's cooking. He greases the wheels of your offense while also being the engine at the same time. It's a very unique player.
And I think that one thing that is really impressive about Halliburton to do this is how long did it take him in that runway up to being the scoring threat creator, right? That he was at the beginning of this year. The hamstring injury happens. He still doesn't look the same. But at the same token, he kind of changed gears and went back into facilitator role and is wildly impressive doing it. And look, that's easier said than done for guys in the NBA to change those gears from I'm going to be the ball-centric scoring guard to, okay, now I've got to change this in, a month and a half. Mm-hmm. He's turned into, okay, now I'm facilitating. Mm-hmm. Now I'm going to make sure that everybody – I'm greasing the skids right now for everybody else to feast, and his scoring has taken a back seat. But when you have 12 assists, you are just as impactful as when you're dropping 24.
And he is limited by the hamstring still. I mean, that's part of this. It was funny. I was digging through Twitter yesterday trying to find an old tweet on Mike Conley, and I found my comp for Tyrese Halliburton as a rookie coming out.
Okay,
was Mike Conley. Because of the organization and getting them into their stuff. Because you see that with the Timberwolves. Mike Conley gets them into, like, Ant Edwards, Gobert, Cat, Jaden McDaniels, all that stuff. Mike Conley is what brought that team together last year, made it effective. Tyrese Halliburton is what brings this team together. Like, the 7 seconds or less Suns, everybody always talks about Amari and Marianne, and yes, Nash gets his credit, but I don't think that those guys get enough credit for what they do because everybody always look at the assist numbers. And yes, they're great, but it's not just the assist numbers. It's the enabling of guys, getting them there. I think I've mentioned this before. There was a line that a scout told me about Steve Nash when he was playing, that anytime they brought a new player in, Nash would work with him and just pass the ball to him on the run. And he'd go, where do you like the ball? And the player would be like, I like it here. And then Nash would get him the ball there and kind of watch him while he was doing it. And then he was like, hey, would you try this? And Nash would put the ball where he thought it was going to help optimize a guy. And guys that played with Nash were like, oh.
I get it.
Like, actually, I thought I liked it here, but actually getting it here, like, since I'm naturally going in, like, if you're a guy who catches, likes to get in your dip, you like to bring the ball from your left to your right side. If you put the ball already in that motion, like, in the left hand, so that it's a catch and then right into it, as opposed to passing it into a right hand and then he moves it to his left. Then subtleties like that, that's the kind of player that Halliburton is, where it's more about the very, very, very minutia things that impact guys on a very high level, but it's all subtle. And I think that's what he does in a different facet of kind of enabling this Pacers offense. And Carlisle, who wasn't a guy who wanted to play at this speed for years with Dallas, is like, I've got a special talent here and I'm going to optimize it by letting him do those kind of things.
Well, home court hath been stolen by the Indiana Pacers.